Hi, I'm Congressman Ron Kind. Every week I try to pull a couple of questions that I've just received from folks back home about something pending before Congress, a question, idea that they might have. And this week I have two before me which I'd like to share with you. Martin from Eau Claire was asking a question about the Moving Ahead for Progress in the 21st Century Act. It's the transportation bill, and it's something that I have supported in the past. And in the past, we've had bipartisan support for it. The largest emerging market we have in the world today is the U.S. infrastructure system. Given the backlog of projects that are starting to pile up, we have to figure out a way to come together as a nation with adequate funding to start rebuilding America again. The roads, the highways, the ports, the airports, the bridges that are in desperate need of repair. In fact, the Society for Mechanical Engineers calculate that the backlog alone is approaching $2 trillion. This would be a recipe for economic disaster for our country. At a time when we need to get the economy growing, creating good paying jobs, we need an infrastructure system that will support that. So I've been a strong believer in the investments we have to make in our infrastructure. Not only is it good for long-term growth and sustaining the type of job creation we need, but in the short term it will also create jobs. It's been calculated that for every $1 billion we spend in the infrastructure system, we'll create close to 34,000 jobs at the same time. And then the ripple effect that that will have in our communities is another way to help get our economy back on track. But it's also important that we invest in this area too to keep the United States competitive globally. Other nations like China and India and Brazil are investing heavily into their infrastructure system because they want to be on the cutting edge and they want to be leading global economies themselves. If we don't do this, we're going to continue to slip further behind. So I think it's a smart investment that should be made. I'm looking for feedback from people back home on what projects they see that are in need of repair in Wisconsin and how we can finally come together again as a nation to address this very serious issue that we're facing. Another person from back home, Gretchen from Stevens Point, asked this. On July 1st this year, student loan interest rates on subsidized Stafford student loans will double from 3.4% to 6.8%, drastically driving up the cost of each loan. She was wondering whether it's possible for the Congress to rise above the partisan gridlock and do something in order to avert this and make it easier for students to be able to go on to school and afford their education. Well, Gretchen, I've been a strong supporter of the universities that we have in my congressional district. 6 of the 11 state universities reside in the 3rd congressional district that I represent. And I have more undergraduates and graduate students in my congressional district than anyone else throughout Wisconsin. And I've been a big supporter for higher education and access to higher education. In fact, as a kid myself growing up in western Wisconsin, there was no way I could have afforded going on to school without the access to financial aid programs that I was able to access and use. From the Stafford student loan that I took out, to Pell Grants that I qualified for, to work-study programs that I did on campus. In fact, I think I still hold the record for a 4-year undergraduate career for the most toilets cleaned on campus because it was the work-study program that happened to pay the most. And I am concerned about the doubling of student loan interest rates, which will take effect on July 1 if Congress doesn't intervene. We had this discussion over a year ago. We found a short-term solution to avert that interest rate hike, and I want to see us come together again to ensure that students don't face this unexpected expense. It's been calculated that if those rates do go up, it would mean an additional $1,000 out of a typical undergraduate's pocket at a time when they're graduating with close to $22,000 worth of debt. This is not the time to be piling on more debt for undergraduates or making it more difficult for students to be able to afford their education. We need to be investing in the human talent of our country. And one of the best areas of investment, I believe, is in quality educational opportunities and the access to the wonderful schools that we have back home. So you have my pledge and commitment to do everything that I can to see if we can reach a bipartisan agreement on it. And if you have this or any other questions that you want to bring to my attention, again, please feel free to contact me through phone calls, emails, letters, or back home when I'm traveling around having listening sessions so I know more what's on your mind. Thank you.